Before I start my message, I want to praise God for His leading, His guidance in my life as well as that of my families. I'm really privileged, and I want to thank God also for the life of my mom, who He has given her as a blessing to us. And if it's not because of her, we would be where we are today. And I also want to invite my friend Beatrice to please come forward. I'm going to put her on the spot. It's a pleasant surprise for me to have her here while I give the message. And would you please come forward? She's been with me through the thick and thin of my life, and I praise God for a blessing she's been to several hundreds of people. And she also happened to be celebrating her birthday a couple days ago, and I want to praise God for that. And I'd like to ask her a question. I hope it's not too sensitive to her. And we both met, during our 11th and 12th grade, and then we worked together. We did our nursing together. Then we had many things in common. Sometimes people think that we're born in the same family. But twins, yeah, as they call it. And she's been my role model in many ways. And I praise God for the talents that God has blessed her with. My first question for her is, what do you think was the reason your dad had to pass away?
My dad was a Seventh-day Adventist pastor. He served the church for 40 years. He joined the church at a very young age, probably 19, 20, when he was about 19 or 20 years old. He served the church, established churches, and went to remote villages as part of his work. And he neglected his health, did not realize that he was a diabetic until he was very sick in his mid-30s. Incidentally, they found that he was a diabetic. And the reason that I think ultimately took his life was his kidneys failed, and which is secondary to his diabetes being uncontrolled. Even though he had a kidney transplant, he had to deal with rejection and secondary complications that ultimately took his life. So I would say that the main reason was neglecting his body and not protecting his kidneys.
For a wonderful introduction to our message today. And before she leaves, I want to also add that he was a great radio speaker, singer, translator, and so many talents, of which his daughter also possesses. And I want you to please read for me Jeremiah 17:10. You could also turn your Bibles, if you have, to the book of Jeremiah.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 10. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, and according to the fruit of his doings.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Today's topic, as you would have already discovered, is based on the introduction that has just been given. And too many times we miss the point. God's brilliant filtration system. Let's move on into this particular topic. God's brilliant filter that He has placed in our bodies which we unfortunately do not recognize. I would call it the brilliant ultrafilter plant, the most sophisticated filtration plant that God has embedded within our bodies. Now, before we delve deeper into our topic, if you paid a little attention to the scripture text that had been read, one by Pastor Jeffrey and one by my friend Beatrice, could you tell me one word that stands in common between these verses? I'm looking for exactly one word that is in common between Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10, and Psalms 139, 13 to 14. Probably you would have a different translation for each of you. Is there something that fits in to our message today between both these verses? You will not find exactly the same words. What you see in English version of our Bible, especially the KJV, but other versions may have it, and you will understand what I'm saying when we go deeper. Today's topic is about the brilliant ultrafilter plant. Is there a mention about this ultrafilter plant in our Bible? Do you find it? Or do you find any connection? It does have. Probably it's not very clear to you. Jeremiah 17:10 tells us about the God who tried the hearts and the reins. Alright? And Psalms 139, 13 to 14 talks about the same thing, but unfortunately the translators had to use a different word to put it into the right context. But if you would happen to go into Google search and look on this word, you will find the connection in 3 different languages. One, the Hebrew, the other in Latin, the other also in English. But since the scholars of the Bible or the translators had to put it into the terms that we would understand it better, they have used the words that they did in Psalms 139, 13 to 14, also Jeremiah 17:10. And the mention of this ultra-brilliant filter system or the plant is given in the Bible 31 times. But you don't find it with the exact words that I'm going to use today. But the translation means the same. What is this ultrafilter plant that we are talking about? You have already seen the picture, you have enough clue. Can I have some response from the audience?
The kidneys.
The kidneys, right. It doesn't take a medical person to say what this filter plant is all about. And it is so complex that we can't understand even one single cell of this particular organ. All of us do understand that we take in some food, some fluids, we take in air, and we also let it out. What are the 3 main organs or systems that help us in putting out the waste materials in our body? We have 3 systems in our body. One to put out the solid waste, the second to put out the liquid waste, and the third to put out the gaseous waste. Do you know what those systems are? I'm sure even the layman can tell us. Yes, the gaseous waste are thrown out by which system?
Respiratory.
The respiratory system. What about the solid waste?
Digest.
Yes, we have the digestive system that throws out the solid waste. And what about the liquid and the ultra-minute waste?
Urinary.
It's our urinary system, that's the kidneys. Out of these 3 systems, which one you think is the most complex? Just a while, yes. Even
Urinary.
if you don't know medical terminology, haven't read much into medicine, but you will understand that there's one system that's even more complex than any one of these three. And that's the system we're going to deal with today. The excretory system of our body, the urinary tract. Okay, the urinary system. And this particular word about the kidneys is given in Latin term as reins. You have seen that in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10, which talks about the reins. I, the God who tried the heart on the reins, right? If you will go back to your homes and search it, look for the Hebrew word for kidneys, you will come exactly to this Hebrew word which says that kilya. The Hebrew term for kidneys is kilya. Supposing the translators put the word, I, the Lord, tried your heart and your kidneys. Does it make any sense to you? It wouldn't, right? But back in the olden days, they thought that kidneys were the most precious organs and they were embedded so deeply within our body and they're so important to us. And yes, it's true. And so they didn't want to put the kidneys even in the sacrificial system. Kidneys were supposed to be one of those precious organs that are offered to the Lord. And so we try to put things together, and you will find out even in the medical terms when it's mentioned about renal failure. You would have heard this word renal failure. Renal refers to the term reins, all right? And also nephro refers to the term, to the kidneys, which is also in Greek referring to kidneys. Now we come back and understand. Now, you all know that kidneys are shaped in a kind of bean that you eat very often, the red kidney beans, you call it. Yes, exactly, they're in that shape, and they're the size of our fist, and they're located right in the retroperitoneal region, which is at the back, the lumbar region that we call it. It's not in your abdomen, as some people would think. It's behind your abdomen. And so, when you have not taken enough water, when you have kidney infection, urinary tract infection, your pain starts at your flank, which is at your back, right? Right behind, below your scapulary region, and because that's where the kidneys are located. And one kidney is slightly bigger than the other one, and it's placed slightly lower. One is placed slightly lower than the other one, as you see in the picture. And these healthy kidneys filter about half cup of blood every minute. Can you believe that? Half cup of blood every minute, and removes the waste and the water that we don't need from our organ, from our bodies. All right? Now, if I would have to say, kidney filters about 150 liters of blood throughout the day. If you would put it into gallons, it would come into about 180 gallons. That's how much of fluid that's rushing down the kidneys through this brilliant filter plant. Can you imagine? And if every liquid waste or the solid waste that come out through this kidneys is to be thrown out by the urinary tract, we would be dehydrated and dead by the end of the day. So it's not just filtration that it does. Kidney does a whole lot more other things than just filtering. They're also termed as the ultrasensors because they sense many things that is happening in our body, and they try to adjust, balance our bodies. And they are also the ultrafilters. And this is just all embedded with that small fist-sized organ, the kidneys. if I would have to talk about the kidneys, there's so much more. We are not going to today spend a lot of time on the anatomy and the physiology, but we also want to draw some health messages out of it, and then the spiritual message later on. Kidneys filter all the fluids that belong to the human body. And how many liters of fluid do we have? Do you know? We have 3/4 of our body is made up of fluid. 3/4 of our body is made up of fluid. That means all our body, if we have to put together the weight of our body, the bones, the flesh, organs, everything, the fluid takes the maximum. Okay? And they perform the function of highly specialized filters, and they selectively purify the blood, eliminating the impurities. Alright, we go on to the next one. Each of these kidneys are made up of at least 1 million filtration plants. 1 million. Just imagine in one size of your fist of a kidney, there are 1 million filter plants. Isn't that something mind-boggling to each of us? If we put both our kidneys together, we have 20 million filter plants inside. Okay, and these are ultra tiny filters that get plugged very easily. They can get inflamed very easily, and they can die very easily. And one more fact that I want you to remember: by the time a baby is born, all these ultra filter plants are made. Although not much of excretion is taking place in the womb, the baby which is in the womb, the mother's placenta does most of that work, but the minute the baby is born, not even the minute, the second the baby is born, its kidneys, the heart, and everything starts working just by a press button that God puts within the baby. Alright? And the fundamental unit of this filtration plant is called as the nephron. As you would see in the picture there, the kidney consists of many parts. You have the outermost, the middle, and the central part of the kidney. If you would trace through, go with that arrow and find out in the medulla, okay, you would find that ultrafiltration plant. That's one nephron. You see that fine network of tubules over there? That is the nephron. And they are so tiny, and you would find a cup-like shaped Bowman's capsule within this nephron, which you will find as the head of the nephron. Within that, there are so many hair-like structures of tiny blood vessels. They're so tiny, but they do all this work of filtering half a cup of blood in just about how much time? Yeah, per hour, right? And so much blood goes through this tiny capillaries, as we call it. And you will find those blue vessels and the red vessels, and you will understand in your science classes that you had learned the blue vessels denote the bad blood, and the red blood vessels denote the good blood, all right? But interestingly, the blood that gets into our kidneys is from the arteries, which is purified by the lungs. But then when they're poured out into the veins, inferior vena cava, as we call it, it is purified by the kidneys, all right? And so we'll move on quickly to the next one. And we have the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus within this nephron. It works by 4 different methods. These 4 mechanisms are the secretion, where the wastes are filtered, and after that, there is reabsorption. That means if all the things that are filtered out by the nephrons have to be thrown out, we would be dead by the end of the day. Because there are some very important chemicals There are ions, there are certain things, molecules that are still needed by our body, they have to be reabsorbed. You would ask, why filter in the first place and reabsorb it? Now, the kidneys are made in such a fashion by a wonderful God that they sense the pressure in our blood, they sense the altitude that we are at, they sense the number of red blood cells that are in our blood, they sense the pH value in our blood, and they act upon it, filtering, reabsorbing. That takes place. And so it's not a single minute that just filter and you throw the waste out. According to if you haven't drunk enough water for the day, that means you have less amount of water for the day in your system, the blood becomes thicker, so the kidneys try to retain as much water as possible within your body to maintain the blood pressure. You know, that's the reason why it needs to reabsorb certain molecules, the water and the salts within our body. If you happen to go out in a hot summer season, you know, on a hot day, and you sweat a lot, and you throw out a lot of salts and water from your body, and that's when the kidneys sense the climate and try to retain as much salts, also water within your body. If you happen to face an accident or have lost a lot of blood, the kidney senses the pressure of your blood that has fallen and tries to shut down for a moment or for a couple of hours to prevent the blood from becoming even more, losing its pressure. And so you will understand, I'm just trying to put this all in a nutshell. The kidney is so fascinating. It has to do reabsorption after filtration, and then it does secretion of certain ions and chemicals. And then the last step that you see as urine is excretion. After 180 liters of blood has been filtered, reabsorbed, secreted, the excretion, the minimum amount of urine that's thrown out is less than 2 liters. Imagine 180 gallons, 150 liters of blood that passes through, and then 2 liters of urine that's thrown out. You see how complex this process is? Do you get what I mean to say? Yes, it is a wonderful organ. And as you have seen, if you would put all these nephrons together, 1 million nephrons, which would be about 30 to 50 millimeters in size. They're so fine. They're so fine. And imagine what happens if you would face an injury, if you would be taking in certain substances that are so huge to be filtered out, if you would be taking wrong substances that are poisonous to your kidneys, if you would not drink enough water, which is required to wash away all these impurities in our body, you are trying to damage your own kidneys. That is in short. And also when we have infections, which produce a lot of toxins in our body, which are also toxic to our kidneys and our nephrons, they block them. And that's the reason why sometimes we have a lot of problems because of infections and various other things as we go in further. Thank you. All right, so what do the kidneys do? This is just really brief. They keep your body chemistry in balance, as I've explained to you a little bit, because they have to maintain the homeostasis, as we call it, keep all the chemicals, the water, and the blood pressure, everything in balance. They also make the urine, removing the water and extra waste which are in our body. They balance our minerals. The minerals like calcium, phosphorus, various things. Now, kidney is the place where a certain kind of hormone is produced and that balance our calcium level. They control our blood pressure. Interestingly, when people have blood pressure, they're given medications that act directly upon the kidneys. Now, here the kidneys are helping us to maintain the blood pressure, and then when the blood pressure goes up, the drugs that are put into our body are acting on our kidneys. Because whenever our blood pressure is low, the kidney sends out a particular chemical that tightens our blood vessels and increases the blood pressure. If the arteries are clogged within, that increases our blood pressure, and that puts a load on our kidneys by the drugs that we take. And they also help keep water and salts in balance. Now, we have a lot more of these functions of our kidney. They help in making our red blood vessels. We think that these red blood cells are made within our bone marrow, of course they are, but unless the trigger is given by the kidneys to make new red blood cells, we can't make new red blood cells. So if a person has the kidneys affected, they would also have their red blood cells formation affected. So kidneys, in other sense, produce so many hormones that give a trigger to a cascade of events that take place within our body. They help keep our bones strong. They adjust the levels of our calcium. And they also help keep the acids and the bases balanced. And the kidneys work also in close connection with our lungs to keep the right pH, acidity, in the proper level. With this, we will move on. Now, what contributes to destroying this ultrafilter plant? As I had already mentioned to you in the past, a little while ago, a lot of diseases do affect our kidneys because of the microorganisms which are harmful to our body, and our body tries to defend, and there is antigen-antibody reactions that are taking place, and this can affect. Infections can go down. These viruses, which are deadly, can get down into our kidneys and infect our nephrons. This ultrafilter, a lot of toxins that go into our body through our mouth, through our nose, through our skin surface, ultimately have to be gotten rid of by our kidneys. And so they also block our ultrafilter plant. And not only that, toxins are in the form of inhalation through smoke, cigarette smoking, tobacco, just produce this. Then also inhaling the polluted air that's in our bodies. We have these toxins there. We also have toxins surrounding us through our entire lifespan. And even before we were born. If our moms have not been careful in what they ate and drank and what they breathed in, we could be born as babies with already kidneys that are malfunctioning. And if the moms have not been careful within the first 3 months and they got infections, this could be also affected. And now I'm talking about, at the end of my slideshow, I'm going to give you a particular link. If you can take a picture of that and listen to the highly scientific presentation by a particular doctor, you would understand. What he mentions is one particular statement I want to say. He said that if we as Americans lived like Americans and ate the food like Americans, we will be dead like Americans. Please pay close attention. There's something wrong about what we are eating, how we are living, and the place we are living in. And for more details, he makes a lot of statements, scientific facts, that we are plunged into a world of catastrophe. And this is a planned one. It's not an accident. All the GMO foods that we are eating, all the vaccinations that we are exposed to, the polluted air that we're exposed to, and the infections, the diseases that we are exposed to because of our lifestyles, which are heavily leading us to a very immature death. And we go on. There are a lots of blocks and kinks that take place because of the high-fat diet and the blood clots that we produce because of our wrong habits of eating and drinking and living, the drugs that we consume. They could be even the antibiotics, even also the simplest, we think the safest drug we use for pain. What is the drug you use for pain? Over here in this country. You know it, all of you know that drug. You will see it, Tylenol. You think it's safe, but you will understand. It is also one of those drugs that affect our kidneys if taken long term. And most of us consume, those with heart diseases taking aspirin. This is also a toxin for the kidneys. Genetic problems can also cause problems. And diabetes and high blood pressure, these are twin sisters. If you have one, it'll not take you long to get the other. And there's another one, the triplet, the third one, the heart disease that you will soon face, which is going to lead us to an premature death. And diabetes is #1 disease that affects kidneys. Heart disease. Kidneys and heart work together, as I told you. High blood cholesterol or the triglycerides because of the high fat consumption that we put into our food. And the next one that we sadly don't think of, high levels of these blood tests raise your risk of heart disease. High blood glucose, high blood cholesterol, and all these things block our kidneys and are ruining our kidneys day to day. I just want to mention one thing. Now, what's wrong with high glucose in our blood? We are starving amidst plenty of glucose. There's lots of glucose in our blood, but the cells do not get any glucose. So we're constantly hungry, and the kidneys are working hard because they want to get rid of the excess amount of glucose. If your kidneys are filtering 180 liters or 180 gallons of blood in 24 hours as a diabetic, they have to work extra harder to throw the extra glucose out of your body. And you see why the kidneys are affected in diabetics? That's the risk. And moving on to the next one. Type 2 diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney failure. Please pass this message on to your friends. And if someone who's seated here has this, be on high alert. What can you do? You don't need to die of kidney failure because you're a diabetic. There is good news. Good blood pressure and blood sugar control can help prevent it. And it can also help protect your blood vessels, your limbs, and your eyes. You know, the tiniest vessels are affected first. That's the reason why those who are diabetics become blind faster, because they're so even smaller than your hair that gets clogged and affected. And high blood pressure is the #2 cause of kidney disease. So be on the alert. You can do something about it. These two diseases can be controlled. They can be prevented. All right? High blood pressure puts extra stress on your blood vessels, which are already tiny and fragile kidney filters. And being obese is another risk factor. Weight control is necessary. Being obese puts you into an extra stress because of the high cholesterol levels. These are big macromolecules that the kidneys try to filter through. If they can't filter, they are again getting back into your system and they clog the arteries of our heart, the bodies, reacts to it. And then there's atherosclerosis, the clogging of your arteries. And then the blockages, the scarring effects. When we fall down, we have scars on our skin. Similarly, there are scars within our blood vessels because of the injury that is produced due to these high fat deposits, along with it, the calcium deposits, and so on and so forth. And so the medications, these are also there. Now, the blockages could also be caused due to various other reasons that, the stones, and then because of abnormal kidneys that we have. And we'll move on with this. Heavy use, the heavy use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, which are in short known as NSAIDs, the medical term NSAIDs. 15% of people who are on dialysis are due to damage for use of, I want the audience to say that, Tylenol and aspirin. Is it shocking to you? Tylenol and aspirin, we think it's so safe, but abuse of these drugs can cause problems. Allergic reactions or side effects of antibiotics. Every little cold we have, every little infection we have, we think our body cannot withstand infections and we pop in antibiotics. This also can cause side effects, destroy the kidneys. Use of recreational drugs, you know them. Inflammation, certain illnesses. These can cause glomerulonephritis. It's a big term. It's just simply inflammation of our kidneys. And some of us may go to the other end and we neglect our sore throat. Sometimes it could be due to streptococcal infections. And these streptococcal infections, they can go down into our kidneys, cause damage to our kidneys, and not only that, to our heart as well. Certain X-rays and dye tests. These are heavy metals that can block our kidneys, can cause problems. If you're constantly exposed to them, also there is a threat for kidney damage. And there are drugs, again, I'm mentioning that. Drugs like Tylenol and aspirin. Every little ache and pain you have, please don't go and put in Tylenol or aspirin into your bodies. Your body has a lot of ability to withstand little colds and little bit of aches and pains. And also vaccines. Now, this is what I've read. You can do your own research. I believe that they're targeting that human beings, the babies, before they reach 5 years of age, will be exposed to at least 100 different vaccines. Now, vaccines, they're not made up of simple stuff. There are additions of heavy metals. There are certain things that are harmful to the body. They have also found out a particular study done way in 1999 by researchers. They found out that if a person was given, the animal was given this particular vaccine, there was one vaccine with only one virus, and there was another vaccine with 2 viruses. The animal that received the single virus vaccine survived. The animal that received a combination of 2 viruses was dead. And these days we have several of these combined, the pentavalent vaccine, the DPT, 3 viruses combined together, and the more and more stuff. Every time you have a flu, you get a flu shot, and every now and then you have vaccines. And these vaccines, the list of things that are combined in the vaccines are also given in that particular link, which I'll give you at the end of my slideshow. And then we have also the cow milk that has various proteins that are toxic, and the GMO foods that are toxic to our kidneys, the polysaturated fatty acids. Choice is yours. You want to live on drugs, or you want to live with a healthy diet. You can spend your life with high blood pressure, diabetic drugs, various other kinds of drugs. You can have pain medications, you can have antidepressants, cardiac drugs, cancer drugs, and so on and so forth. Or you can live your life having high fiber foods, which are good to wash out your system, high vitamin fruits and veggies, which are good to protect your body, high water intake instead of carbonated drinks and sugary drinks to wash out your systems, keep it clean, high exercise schedules, and adequate rest, trust, and meditation on God. Choose whichever one you want. If you are going to live on pills, you would die of pills. If you eat veggies and fruits like pills, you have good chances of enjoying life. It's so simple. You don't have to make your life complicated with all that stuff. The deceiver in the beginning said, "You will not surely die." The same statement keeps ringing in our ears. You will not really die with just one peg, with just one cigarette smoke. You will not surely die with a little bit of cake and ice cream. You will not surely die with a little bit of, non-veg diet. You can decide. Live if you want to live. Obey what God told you. Disobey and die. All right? It has been proved time and over again. Plant diet has soluble fibers that can heal nerve damage and can be a solution for many of our diseases. Plant diet plus just extra water that if we will consume will bring healing to our bodies and our minds. Fruits and veggies. Just have an extra serving of fruits and veggies can bring a lot of rejuvenation. And studies prove time and again that if we had at least 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruits per day, you can protect your bodies from a lot of illnesses. It's not difficult. And remember, fruits and veggies, flavonoids are there that reduces your cholesterol, antioxidants are there that can prevent cancer, and then also the heart disease. You have lots of wonderful benefits from the plant-based diet. Most of the causes of heart disease and various other diseases are because of the things that we eat and drink. And then there's something important that if you have the time, we should make time. These are some of the cleansing drinks that we can make right at our homes in order to cleanse our kidney. If you go online, you will find many of the other juices also that can help us. Now, what does it have to do with our spiritual walk? Remember, every Christian in every act of life seeks to be guided by 2 great principles. One, to promote and maintain life and good health. To preserve the best health and eat that food which is most nourishing to our bodies. We are meant to be a blessing, not only to ourselves, but also to our communities. Remember, it's not just our kidneys. We need to watch out our brains. They are also the filters. Watch out what goes into our brains, through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, through our mouth. What we put inside is what exactly we become. Happy thoughts will lead to happy lives. Negative thoughts will lead to diseases. Remember to be optimistic. And God wants us to share this health message to people around by living the health that we believe. And that is going to glorify our God in heaven. He's given us wonderful reasoning ability, and it is up to us to use it the way God wants us. You want to live a happy, long life, we would benefit by following what he has to say. Now, do not wait until your kidneys are damaged to start working on them. Do something. Start now, before it's too late. When the kidneys fail, life fades. Remember, be a little more careful. Optimal health, optimal death. There's one thing in common for both of these. Optimal health has no signs and symptoms, and no pains and aches. Optimal death also has no pain. Right? You can choose to be on either end of this continuum. Both have no symptoms. God has given us this wonderful power of choice. This is the link I was talking to you about by Dr. John Bergman. Discover the dynamic design of a human body. If you'd like to listen to this, please do go back to your homes and listen to it at ease and find out various startling facts about how we are plunged into this world of sickness and disease, what we can do to prevent it, right? And then I want to place before you this appeal. God says, I place before you life and death. Choose for yourselves what you would like. And please show your kidneys some love.
For a beautiful presentation. God bless sister in every angle, actually been able to be a source of inspiration in this message. For the closing song, let's all join in and singing the song in as well with my soul. That will be a closing. Let's all stand up and sing the song. Everybody. Let's seek the Lord in prayer. Gracious God in heaven, we thank you, Jesus, for the wonderful words of life. We have fearfully and wonderfully made. Because of sin, we have abused our body, mind, and soul. But the restoration can take place when we just run back to Christ, who died on the cross of Calvary, who could cleanse us from all unrighteousness, so that our mind and our body might be absolutely, oh Father, be blameless. We need your help. We need your strength. We need your love to be imparted in each one of our lives, oh Father, so that we could be sustained on this life to be a shining light on the mountaintop. We need you ever than before. Many times, oh Father, only the Lord can be able to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. We have been filled with the responsibility to keep our mind and body and soul. We are failed, oh Father, in every aspect. But Lord, we beg you to restore us back once again, so that, oh Father, we might be able to be made whole. Give us the double portion of the Spirit, so that we might be able to walk in the paths of righteousness. The Lord, who has been fearfully and wonderfully made this life, that we could be able to fearfully live for you when you were all in this last days. Thank you for each one. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for guiding us through your word, O Father. Help us, O Father, to be strengthened in this last days, so that we might be able to live for you and you alone. Thank you for being with us and answering our prayer till we be back again to worship you in spirit and in truth. May your presence go with each one of our hearts. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. May the grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, love of the Father, and the sweet fellowship and the communion of the Holy Spirit abide with each one of us